Years of citizens home abroad over a fire incident in Aso Rock, noting that there was no fire incident in the presidential villa. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement clarifies that though a fire broke out on the evening of Saturday, March 6, burning shrubs between the outer wire fence and walls surrounding the villa. The fire was contained by fire stations of the State House. The statement, which appreciates well-meaning Nigerians for their concern, further says no life was lost and that the Federal Fire Service is investigating the cause of the fire. Stakeholders on security matters in the south-south geopolitical zone of the country have aligned with the federal government's desire of establishing community policing. The stakeholders made their position known at a sensitization meeting in Benin aimed at educating the public on community policing.
It is the grassroots and the involvement of all to take ownership of the very instrument of safety and security which affects all strata of the society.
If you don't strengthen institution, then anything you build is going to crash.
There should be recruitment of more policemen.
We should not allow it in the hands of our political leaders.
The community sits up to work towards the common good. We can minimize the rate of crimes.
Coming together, we made them to identify the problem in the society.
Away from security to health now, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 269 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The latest figures released bring the total number of confirmed cases to 158,506 infections in the country. A breakdown of the new cases from 18 states plus the FCT indicates that Enugu recorded the highest number for the day with 78 new cases, followed by Bauchi with 37 new cases. Others are Rivers with 22, Imo 18, Ogun 16, FCT 15, Akwa Ibom and Kaduna have 13 new cases. Others are Kebbi with 11, Kwara 9, Edo 7, Ekiti 6, Borno and Yobe recorded 5 cases each, with Kano having 4. The day's tally is completed by Nasarawa and Osun states with 3 new cases, while Anambra and Plateau have 2 cases each. With the latest development, 137,875 cases have been successfully treated and discharged, while 1,969 patients have died, unfortunately. That's the morning news. The program continues with Kinsley and Kieran after this break. I am Nolin Ebel Ame.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher no more. A fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher no more. A fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged yes school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi, we know happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, that's why I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
Teacher jọ̀wọ́, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ.
When times are tough, we know that as a mother, one thing you should never compromise on is your family's oral health, because they deserve the best. Oral-B, all-round protection. Its great value, it protects your mouth from harmful bacteria and also protects you against tooth holes and gum problems which can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your family's teeth and gives them all-round protection. So remember, protect their future. Oral-B for healthier, stronger teeth in just 1 week.
Moments can be ordinary. It's what we make of them that really matter. Make the best of every moment, every day, like super moms do with Indomie. Moments to laugh with Indomie. Moments to learn with Indomie. Moments to care with Indomie. Moments to share with Indomie. Moments like no other.
Mom's love makes all moments beautiful. We celebrate the selfless love served over the years by our amazing moms. Happy Mother's Day from Indomie.
Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
My culture preaches peace. My culture preaches peace. My culture preaches peace. 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 My culture preaches peace.
Even our religion
Preaches peace.
If our culture preaches peace, remember your culture. Use your voter's card. Vote peacefully
And wisely. We are one.
This message is from the National Council for Arts and Culture.
Hello, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTAi. For us now, the next on the item is newspaper review.
Kirian and I will kick off with the review of the three papers we have while we await our regular newspaper reviewer. Let's begin with the Nation newspaper. Above the nameplate, wage talks by states. Federal government rejects reps plan. Wage talks by states. Federal government rejects reps plan. 650 ghost IDPs found in Maiduguri. Zulum storms camp. Nigeria recalls 13 trillion naira fixed income and currency deals. 6 billion naira withdrawn from NHI's account, says CEO. CBN's naira for dollar policy takes off. And Supreme Court Justice Unguta dies 23 days to retirement. Buhari, Lumahi, and others pay tribute. Kano suspends debate with Abdul Jabbar. And JAMB made 400 million naira from change of birth date. JAMB made 400 million naira from change of birth date. Women take center stage on IWD, that's International Women's Day. This story says, troops and Boko Haram in Borno highway battle. Scores killed as Air Force jets bomb bandits hideout in Kaduna. Police arrest OPC members over header kidnap suspect. Police arrest OPC members over header kidnap suspect. Kaduna Airport won't be shut. That's page 6. Now, something happened over the weekend at the staff quarters of the Federal Airports Authority, where some bandits raided the quarters, Kirian, and abducted some family members, I think about 12 or so of them.
When I saw the story, I was wondering how possible could that have been in a quarters that should have a good security, network, especially the Air Force. Should be there. I mean, there should be some form of security arrangement in such quarters, very close to the airport.
Well, the reports indicated that there was a military detachment in the vicinity, in the neighborhood, and that there was a gun duel that lasted for quite a while. But the bandits were said to have arrived on motorcycles, and during the pushback, of course, they managed to seize a couple of the families that they took. But FAN is not, let's face it, it's not a military formation, so you would expect the Air Force to be there. But they usually live in close proximity to the airport to facilitate their work. And this raises a very serious security concern, I would imagine, with regard to the airport. Yeah, so whatever else is there now, anyone who has no business being in and around the airport shouldn't, of course, be welcome near the airport.
And they found their way into the quarters through the runway.
That's right.
Right,
yeah.
So the security network at the airport should have been detected that earlier on. And I was wondering, how could they be able to take away those people on motorbikes, without being caught after the gun duel that we talked about?
Well, I mean, a gun duel, it's not really face-to-face. I don't know how that works out. I wasn't a witness. But, Kira, the way these things sometimes happen, the bandits would have mapped out their strategies, their escape route. And so once they had their getaway bikes, all they needed to do was make that statement. But the key thing is to be hot on their heels and then bring them to justice whenever they are arrested.
Exactly.
That's right. Kieran, I'm done with
all right, the Daily Trust newspaper, below the nameplate of Daily Trust newspaper, pressure mounts on federal government to reopen Kano Airport's international wing. That's on page 3. 4 bandits killed, rifles recovered in Kaduna. That's on page 7. Special pullout on International Women's Day. All right, despite clocking 60, Accountant General FRSC boss is still in office. Overstay contradicts civil service rules. There's nothing wrong, Labour Minister. That's on page 6. All right, well, a photo story there. That's, of course, is a situation what happened in Senegal. There's a wide protest in Senegal because the opposition leader was arrested following rape charges in Dakar, Senegal, and there is a looting that ensued in one of the streets of Dakar, Senegal. That's the photo story you have on the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, below that, you have OPC raises settlement, kills woman, arrests blind Fulani leader. That's on page 8. Oshibajo, reliable, competent deputy. That's according to Buhari. The story is on page 61. 35,000 killed, 2 million displaced in Boko Haram war. That's by Borno State government. 4 headers shot dead, cow stolen in Anambra attack. That's on page 7. Kingsley, we have different attacks this time around against the headers and vice versa, right? And it's becoming so common in the southwest and, of course, the southeast of Nigeria. What does this portend, for security in those areas? Because if the two sides begin to take laws into their hands, it's going to escalate. And, of course, they bring about what they wouldn't like to happen in this country.
No question about that, Kirian. Now, the story out of the southwest this weekend, which is what we are seeing on the front pages of the papers, has to do with the activities of the OPC, that is Odua People's Congress. The Congress had for many months said that, look, it was taking up the fight against kidnappers and those, of course, who were assaulting, raping and maiming women and other farmers in the southwest. And so this weekend, they launched an operation, that's to say OPC, and they arrested a man who is said to be the leader of the killer gangs in that particular location. His wakil, they said, they had been hot on his heels for for quite a while. He's been picked up and handed over to the police. The follow-up story now is that the police have taken him to the hospital, but in the meantime have detained 3 members of the OPC who succeeded in arresting the alleged mastermind of attacks on farmers. So it's a sensitive story in a sense that we have seen all kinds of videos over the weekend, and then all kinds of perspectives have been brought into that. Something happened over again also, unfortunately this time for the Supreme Court. Justice Sylvester Nguta, he passed away yesterday. He would have retired on the 30th of this month. In other words, he passed on just 23 days to his retirement. If you recall, Kirian, early in the life of the administration, that's to say President Buhari's administration, first term, Justice Nguta was one of several justices whose residence in the federal capital were raided by security operatives on allegation that they had monies
foreign currencies
that in their custody or in their possession for which they couldn't account. Now, Justice Nguta was then suspended and his matter was tried. But upon trial, of course, the case was dismissed because the right procedure wasn't followed. That namely, for a judicial officer who is alleged to have committed the kind of offense that they were talking about, the first body to try or indict the defendant should have been the National Judicial Council. So he was reinstated subsequently, and of course he was just on his way out now, the mandatory 70-year retirement age when he passed away yesterday. He was said to have been in the intensive care unit at the National Hospital, but of course he wasn't COVID-19 positive. He was said to have been COVID-19 negative. Right. Kira, there's also the other story. Very quickly, we can touch on this one. 650 ghost IDPs found in Maiduguri. Governor Zulum, of course, went there in the wee hours. You know, the usual finagling to say, oh, we have 1,000 IDPs, and usually when you have those 1,000 IDPs, they will be on your books.
And they make provision for those.
Absolutely. Now that they have found 650 ghost IDPs, what next? So
what about those who actually fed on those 600 IDPs that were not non-existent? That's in the past. They must have been collecting some.
Absolutely, Kirian. That's
materials for those IDPs that don't exist. So what happens to them?
That is it. That is the governor has taken the first step, which is to say storm the camp and then isolate the ghosts. And you have 650 of them. Now, let the auditors check the books. Give them a deadline. Within the next 7 days, within the next 14 days, check out what was going to... You don't have to check what has been going to the whole of IDP camps in Borno State. Just take just one. This one that you have ascertained in Maiduguri, where there are 650. What were the provisions for 650 ghosts? Who were those provisions actually disbursed? Who disbursed them? Who signed for them? Who retired them? And then you have a case on your hands.
Are they individuals or NGOs or a group of persons? So I will now determine who was responsible for that.
That's right, Kirian. Then the other one here is troops and Boko Haram in Borno highway battle. That's significant. But you know that on Friday, the new service chiefs were decorated with their new ranks at the presidential villa by President Buhari, of course, on the wives of the new service chiefs. 4 of them, the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, and Chief of Naval Staff. One of the comments that emerged after the decoration by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lokira, and I thought that was very significant, because in the months and years that we've been battling with all forms of vicious criminality, it doesn't appear to have been framed this way. General Abbas said that, look, Nigerians deserve peace and that they are entitled to live in the country without fear. You know, Kirian, if you frame it strategically that way, then you bring in everybody to say, look, don't you deserve peace, Kirian?
If he's going to match that with action, because if this peace is going to return as he envisaging, then that means that his men should go all out. Because one, that we don't have peace is because we have banditry.
That's right.
Because we have Boko Haram. That one has been there for a while now. And he's been in the theater for a while, even before he was commissioned. So he should know what to do. And eventually he said they were going to take the fight to them. And if he meant that, then now is the time.
Well, Kirian, I wouldn't say if. I mean, the evidence is beginning to unfold. Early days. About a week or two ago, the Chief of Army Staff, if you recall, gave a 48-hour deadline to troops in Marte, that is around the Lake Chad region, after the insurgents had overrun the place. So look, reclaim that place. And within 48 hours, the ultimatum was carried out. So this is the kind of positive action that Nigerians would like to see. But the reason why I'm bringing this up again is to say, yes, if you want peace, and if you don't want to live in fear, then also support our troops.
Exactly, because the civilians need to play. Need to play a lot of role in all of this, because the bandits operate basically because they have informants. There are no tools about that. They can't be in the forest and be operating in cities and towns without having informants. It's not a practical thing, right? So they have informants who are operating with them, who tell them where to go and when to go. And until civilians begin to realize that, then we may not have this peace we're talking about, because the military alone cannot just do that.
You got it, Kirian. Then just before we wrap it up, let's take a look at the editorial. It's from the Punch newspaper at page 30. It says, decentralizing minimum wage legislation. The paper, of course, is in praise of the move by the House of Reps to amend the provisions of the 1999 Constitution by removing matters relating to wages from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list. That paper says it's a welcome and long overdue development, and that this is in consonance with true federalism.
So meaning that the states can have their own payment structure.
That's right.
That's exactly what he's talking about.
That's what the editorial is in support of.
So that it will not be from, because most times when federal government comes up with a strategy for salary payment, the states will say they don't have the capacity to pay.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that given that the cost of living is not uniform across the country, there's no justification for all the states to be made to pay their workers uniform wages, determined by an overbearing federal government. All right, so that's it for this review this morning. Thank you for watching. We're taking a short break now. When we return, we'll get ahead with our item for discussion.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTAi.
The second wave of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic is upon us.
To safeguard lives of our people,
Government has signed the Health Protection Regulations, which makes wearing a face mask mandatory in public places.
Wear a mask. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water. And use hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 is real. Do not be infected. Do not spread it. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTAi.
We thank you for staying with us. Now, for the different reasons of getting better representations in gender equality, lifting the women folk through empowerment, priorities continue to be a concern for this gender. And of course, like partners, our first conversation borders on this and allied issues. So let's welcome our guests. All right, first guest this morning on this segment is Laraba Shoda. Laraba Shoda is the National President of National Council of Women's Societies. Welcome to the program, madam.
Thank you.
We also have Amina Ado, Chief Executive Officer, Sanada Limi Foundation. I hope I got that correctly.
Yes.
All right, so you're also welcome to the program.
Thank you.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you with us, and congratulations on this year's International Women's Day. Well, the question of gender equality and increased women empowerment, those questions, of course, are still very relevant. But on the occasion of this year's International Women's Day, what, in your opinion, are the pertinent issues that we should focus on?
Thank you very much. I want to congratulate all women on the International Women's Day today. The COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic has really opened up a lot of inequality for women. Women are the ones that are most hit in this coronavirus thing. Inequality in Nigeria for women is something that we all know that is very, very serious, because a lot of women, especially in governance, are not given their place of pride. And when the coronavirus came, of course, it hit a lot of women, even the women in the market, as the market women like that sell day-to-day things, the ones that control the microeconomy, were hit, and it showed a lot of problem. That was why we started having a lot of sexually based violence. Women were being abused at home because, of course, a lot of women go out to go and look for daily bread. Most women are the breadwinners in Nigeria. But during the pandemic, you know what happened? Everybody was locked down, and women were not able to go to their businesses, which they go every day. And problems started. We started seeing a lot of sexual and gender-based violence, abuses, and all sorts of things, especially rape, was very rampant. That showed that the inequality between the female and male gender, the gap is so wide. During the pandemic, we saw the gap. We saw the gap opened. So during this International Women's Day, we want to discuss and know, what do we do? What is the way forward? How will government, bridge this gap between the male gender and the female gender? That is our main issue this time around. In empowerment, for instance, we have a lot of interventions by government. But when you look at these interventions, you discover that women are few. Let's take the anchor borrower scheme. You will discover that it's men, mostly men, that have this anchor borrower scheme. Even the intervention where you get maybe 10,000, 50,000, and so on for this pandemic. When you look at the list, the data, even in National Council of Women's Societies, we've been going through hell just to access these funds because of the normal problems that women have. Of course, women will be asked to bring this, bring that. We don't have. We don't have collaterals. We don't have. Our husbands maybe have to sign for us to collect loans that are up to like 10 million. So women have a lot of challenges in this country. So the inequality gap is so wide.
All right, thank you. Now let's turn to Ado. Let's get your own view concerning gender inequality in Nigeria, and how best you think this inequality gap, can be closed.
Yes, there is a lot of inequality in Nigeria, both in education, in economic empowerment, and that's why our Partnership for Women in Economic Development is trying to address this gap. Now, it may surprise you to know that based on the Demographic and Health Survey of 2018, only 55% of women between the ages of 15 and 49 have a mobile phone, while 81% of men do. That's something as inconsequential as a mobile phone, but you have this large gap. Now, when it comes to land, only 12% of women have land in their name, while 38% of men within that age group said they do. And when it comes to education, 35% of women are illiterate, while it's 22% for men. So you can see both in terms of economy and in terms of education, which gives you access to actually higher earning capacity, women are behind. Now, what can we do to address this problem? The most fundamental thing is quality education, quality public education in particular. Because if you look at the northern part of the country where we have the lowest literacy level, the problem is most parents send their kids to public schools, and these schools are very poor in quality. So at the end of the day, these parents decide, look, this thing is not even worth it because they cannot see the benefit. So we need to fix public basic education. After doing that, women who maybe finish school just by going to primary and secondary school, we need to give them better skills, better financial literacy. And then fundamentally, when you look at the federal government budget, there are just too many ministries involved in women economic empowerment. Over 10 in the 2021 budget. Now, can you reduce this to say 3 or 4 and reduce the cost of admin so that at the end of the day you have more women actually then benefiting from these programs rather than spending it on the civil servants? So I think if we do this, we would be able to see an improvement. And then, of course, you can use quota system. If you look at the political space, only 4.5% of women make up the National Assembly. 4.5% is unacceptable. But without economic empowerment, it is very difficult for women to be politically empowered. So you need to fix education, you need to give women better access to skills and financial literacy, and then they can hopefully exact their influence in the political space.
Are you saying that 10 ministries championing the cause of women should not be the focal point now? Because I would have thought that doing that is ensure that more women will benefit from whatever program or policies of government with respect to bridging the gap.
No. You see, if you have too many, they spend the money on civil servants, on admin, on running up and down. Check the 2021 budget. Unbelievable 19.5 billion or thereabout is going to be spent by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs on traveling. 19.5 billion. That's about the budget of half the budget of Ministry of Justice. And that's because everybody is in this business of empowerment. Give it to Ministry of Women Affairs. Empower the Ministry of Women Affairs. That's their job. And then Ministry of Agric, because there's a lot of intervention in the agric space, and probably the humanitarian people. That's it. And then, please, unbundle youths from women. When you look at the budget, everything is youth and women, youth and women. Women are a separate, distinct, important entity. We make up 51% of the population of Nigeria, roughly. So we don't need to be merged with youths. When you do that, there is better transparency. When you report, we will know actually what women got. But today you report, you say with youth and women. What does that mean? We don't know how many actually women, what women are getting. So for better targeting, for better transparency, for reduction in waste, in admin and public servants, you need to reduce the number of ministries that are involved in women economic empowerment.
So could you cite other examples of ministries, departments and agencies that are identified in the 2021 budget as targeting matters relating to women
Yes,
empowerment?
there's Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Youths, everybody, SDF's office, Boundary Commission, everybody is involved.
So what do you want? You want a super ministry for women
yes,
that will take care of these issues?
There is already a Ministry of Women Affairs.
Yes.
Let them be the focal point. Let them have more power. Right now, they have 8 billion in their budget, Ministry of Women Affairs. That's less than half of what humanitarian is spending on traveling all over the place.
Okay, let's break this down further so that we get it right, because you're making an important policy proposition. Everybody knows that year in, year out, we have to deal with disasters. And therefore also confront humanitarian issues. Last year, flooding, for instance.
Yes.
And one of the arguments that often comes up is that women are often most impacted by these humanitarian challenges. And the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, which is now a special purpose ministry created only a couple of years ago, is meant to address that. And of course, the kind of skills that you need and the kind of interaction that you need with other agencies couldn't possibly reside only in the Ministry of Women's Affairs. If the Ministry of Women's Affairs had to coordinate matters relating to flood disaster, relating to IDPs and so on and so forth, in addition to its regular matters, bringing on trade, bringing on all kinds of the ministries that you have talked about, when would the ministry have time, therefore, to clear the ticket and then be sure of what it's doing?
I said 3. Agri, humanitarian affairs, women affairs. Let them handle issues of women. Now, if when we say handle, you yourself now, it's difficult for you to say how much government is spending on women, because everything is all over the place. But when you make Ministry of Women Affairs in terms of consolidating and telling Nigerians what the government is spending on women, even the government will benefit from it. But importantly, you will reduce the cost of admin, the cost of logistics, and you will have better targeting, because you have a ministry that actually understands the problems of women. It is the Ministry of Women Affairs, but it is marginalized, actually. And that's at the federal level. In fact, at the state level, it's as if the Ministry of Women Affairs is just like a token to keep women quiet. Look at their budget. It's totally irrelevant. Ministry of Women Affairs, check their budget in the last 5 years. They hardly get up to 10 billion.
Couldn't the advocacy, therefore, be increase budgetary allocation to Ministry of Women Affairs, and then let the NGOs and other interested groups begin to interrogate not just budgetary allocation to these 10 or so ministries, but the spending of the allocations, assuming they get the full receipts for what has been allocated?
Yes, you need more for women affairs. But I am of the view that having 10 ministries, and almost, by the time you add National Assembly zonal projects, you will have more than 10 ministries. Everybody is involved in women economic empowerment, because it looks like, or youth economic empowerment, because it looks like there is money there that is very difficult to account for. It's very, you can say I gave 10 people money, maybe 2 people got it. That's it. So you need, if you reduce the number, you will reduce admin. You will make it more transparent and unbundle youths and women. There's nothing like youths and women, for God's sake. So unbundle them. When you do that, because everybody is complaining about waste in public space. When you, even information and culture, they have women empowerment. Everybody is involved. Yeah? But if you reduce the number, and when we need to do something that is specifically a skill set of the Ministry of Information, the Women Affairs or the Humanitarian or the Agri, they'll bring them together. And then the government can say, yes, I'm spending 100 billion, 150 billion on women. If you ask government now, they can't tell you how much they're spending on women economic empowerment because it's all over the place.
Well, isn't that the way, Kira? Isn't that the way an economy runs? Because if you're talking about a streamlined approach to public expenditure on a particular cause, it just might be challenging. I mean, if you mentioned education earlier, for instance, when you say education, we know that we have challenges with our public education system, but you can see the various sources of contribution to our education, various sources, and those agencies that also handle them, not just at the state level, but also at the federal level. So why the advocacy? It's interesting from the point of view of say cutting the cost of governance, but administratively, and therefore it might just be a big challenge.
I think I think she has a point in what she's saying. You know, because ultimately, what is needed is to target the women and get more number of women involved in this empowerment. Not few women. More ministries involved with women affairs, but few women get this. Because now the complaint has always been there. With all this number of establishments, you know, catering for women, yet we are still seeing that the women are not getting their rightful share or what they should get in terms of empowerment. So what now has been achieved, if we have all those ministries or parastatals who are involved in championing the cause of women affairs, in empowering women, and yet there's this complaint that women are not getting that empowerment, then the whole effort would have been in vain.
No doubt about that. Kyria,
let's bring in...
you are going over to Laraba. Let's the practicality.
I want her to come in here.
No, that's the point, the practicality of it. See, Minister of Information and Culture, say the cultural aspect, you're dealing with, say, boosting Nollywood or boosting, cultural traits and so on and so forth, cultural activities. And you would now have to segregate the women who are involved in that and say, okay, women, this one is for you, go to Ministry of Women Affairs. Arts and culture, you will say, when it comes to sports, when female athletes, you say, oh, issues related to female athletes, their camping, their kitting and so on and so forth, their training, okay, they take it to Ministry of Women Affairs. I don't know.
No, that's not what I mean.
What do you mean?
No. Look, if you look at the budget, again, because the budget is the instrument of implementation of government policies, you will see even on that, I'm not sure your ministry, but you see on that many ministries, they are buying KK, whatever. They are buying grinding machine. They are all boundaries commission. Go and check what they are doing. Yeah? Why is that specialist? I'm not saying we should have gender policies in all what we do. So if you are a Ministry of Culture and you want to do something that, and there is a female component to it, nobody's saying you should go to Women Affairs. But when you say, I am doing economic empowerment, yeah? And it is not something that is specific to your skill set, please empower the Ministry of Women Affairs, the Ministry of Agric, and the Ministry of Humanitarian to actually do these things as much as you can. There will be exceptions, but the Ministry of Women Affairs should not be the one that has the least amount of money to spend on women economic empowerment or thereabouts. That's the point.
The point is clear. We appreciate that. Let's bring in Laraba Shola here. You listen to what she said, her side of the argument. So what's your take?
Well, I differ a little bit. I believe that the Ministry of Women Affairs should be more empowered. Their budget should be bigger, but I believe that in every sector they must take care of women. For instance, Ministry of Trade and Industry, we have women, a lot of women local women who produce things, and the Ministry of Trade and Industry take care of those women. They are the ones that take them out, they are the ones that look for funds for them. I believe that they can involve the Ministry of Women Affairs in whatever they do. But they should have the gender desk for women, because they are Ministry of Trade and Industry. They know what they want. So in each ministry, maybe when you get to police, for instance, they have their own gender section that takes care of women. And I know now that they even have a DIG in charge of women in the police, including the army. They have their own women's sector. So they must be able to take care of women. But I agree with her that women and youth should not be lumped together. The youth should be able to be on another maybe ministry, while the women will be taken care of by other ministry. But saying that the ministries that are taking care of women are too many. Women are many in the country. The National Assembly, they have their women's sector. They take care of women and do things for women. Even the central bank, we have the central bank money allocated to women, though it doesn't really get to women. So maybe if they involve the Ministry of Women Affairs and say, well, this money is for women, and this is, let us sit down and talk and arrange how the women will get it, maybe it will be better. But the money is there in the Ministry of, they have to take care of it. They own the money. They take care of that part of what they put together for women. Maybe for empowerment, which really doesn't get to women, because I've been to the CBN many times. We have hurdles to overcome before you get such money. You have to do this, to do that, and the money is sitting down there. Women are not able to access it. Maybe with advocacy, sensitization, and if the ministry, if our ministry, that is the Ministry of Women Affairs, is involved, more women will know what to do. There will be ease of, receiving those funds. So the same thing, Bank of Industry, they also have the same, Agric, they have, and it goes to women, but not easily. It's not easy. So maybe we need the Ministry of Women Affairs to train women, teach them how to access this money, teach them what to do, because a lot of women, they are in the informal sector. A lot of them, like she said, they don't even have the proper phones to use, and all they know is to buy and sell, daily income and that kind of thing. But the money for them to do this buying and selling is there, lying down somewhere where other people, men especially, access this money and use. So I think the Ministry of Women Affairs should be more involved in, working with, interfacing with these different ministries that have things for women.
Now, let's say we're the 2021 International Women's Day. Now, going forward, what would you like to see that will change the course of history of women in Nigeria, very briefly?
Well, I'm particular about governance, for instance. I'd like to see in Nigeria having a quota system, having allocation for women. We've been talking about 35% affirmative action. People, those some women, some feminists believe that, we don't need a 35% affirmative action because we can get 50% or no. Even other countries, have, like Rwanda, they have a quota system. And many other countries, they have an allocation for women, maybe 40%, 30%. Beijing said 30%, but we have gone past that now. Maybe 35%, maybe 40% allocated to women. And we are not saying that this thing we should be handed over to women on a platter of gold. We are saying that the 35% must be put aside. Women must occupy 35% seats everywhere, especially in elective posts. And the women that are qualified, we fight for those positions, not just godfatherism or godmotherism, no. Women that are qualified, women that come out. Because last dispensation, we had hundreds and hundreds of aspirants. But at the end of the day, they didn't get anywhere. Because one, they didn't have the money. Two, they didn't have the lever for violence.
And sometimes women don't vote for women, fellow women.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree because we have not had candidates for you to know whether we
somebody aspired for the presidency of this country, a lady, and she was the only person that voted for herself.
Is it Sarah Jubrin?
Yes, no other women voted. No woman voted.
No, she didn't get to the candidacy position. She was an aspirant. You know why? Women do not occupy the grassroots government. We don't occupy grassroots government. We have something they call primary elections. During these primary elections, there are automatic delegates, people like councillors, people like chairmen of local government, people like House of Assembly. They are automatic. That is before they now pick some politicians to join them. If there are no women occupying those spaces, there are no women as a ward chairman, There are no women as local government chairman or vice chairman or SLG. Everybody is a man. Most of them are men.
Dr. Laraba, we are pressed for time for this segment. A number of issues that you have raised along with Ms. Amina Ado, these are issues related to party political management, but she's also raised on a pertinent issue on bundling women and youth as ministries. I think that we have that in part now. There is a Ministry of Youth and Sports, not Ministry of Women Affairs and Youth, although at the state level probably still have that bunched up together. We'd like to thank you for being with us, but just a reminder, Laraba Shoda, that's the chair, national president of NCWS, when we're talking about the implication of COVID-19 on women, perhaps you should also have added, and maybe that's so that women would know, scientists indicated that women were less likely to contract COVID-19, and even if they contracted it, the fatalities among women would definitely be lower than men. So men were the ones who have been dying mostly from coronavirus. So, on that note, we'd like to thank you for being with us, Aminado. Thank you for being with us on Good Morning Nigeria. All right, this is Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTAi. We'll take a short break now. We'll return, we'll get into our second topic, which is also related to women in leadership.
Let's blow your trumpets. Advertise on NTAi News 24, located at the headquarters premises of the NTAi, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. Our rates are affordable. Our reach is far and wide. We are on DSTV Channel 419, Star Times Channel 101, GoTV Channel 46, Free TV Channel 703. Please call Henry on 0803 379 0884. NTAi News 24. News and more news.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
You are watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTAi. Now, as a prompt for our second conversation, which is on Nigerian women and leadership today, let's get this report by Oyemi Ajayi.
Gone are those days when the roles of the Nigerian women can be said to be confined to the four walls of the home, as their responsibilities in building a moderate society cannot be overemphasized, and this is being projected over the years now. Many women have proven their abilities in different strata of the society. In the financial sector, the political arena, the judiciary, in the private and public sectors, here in the country, and on the global stage, with better delivery when at par with their male counterparts. Nigerian women, strong and powerful, unrelenting with the zeal to uphold the tenets of value and virtue. For many, the 35% United Nations Affirmative Action Plan for women is said to be long overdue in order to give women 35% opportunities and roles in the political leadership. Many have criticized that for the 35% affirmation to be actionable, the men folks must give more room for women in leadership, and failure of which will continue to widen the inequality gap between the men and women. However, some women have been facing a series of challenges such as sexual harassment, gender inequality, stereotyping and limiting the place of women to the confines of the home, domestic violence amongst others.
As the world celebrates the International Women's Day 2021 with the theme Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in the COVID-19 World, many have called for the rights of the women to be highly protected. There are also concerns on when indeed will the 35% United Nations Affirmative Action Plan for Women be fully enforced and implemented. How well can the women's rights be protected? Well, these are some questions guests already seated in the studio will be answering shortly.
Thank you, NTAi, for that background. With us in the studios now to discuss matters arising from that background. Let's welcome the Honorable Minister of Women's Affairs, Dame Pauline Talent. Honorable Minister, pleasure to have you again, and good morning, Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. We also have with us in the studios distinguished Senator Arat Gwadabe. She's the chairperson of the Former Senators Forum. Pleasure to have you with us this morning. Okay.
Yeah, essentially, we also have Talatu Aliyu, the Monitoring, Education, Accountability and Learning Manager, Christian Aid UK Nigeria.
Good morning, Nigeria.
It's a pleasure to have you this morning with us.
Good morning.
All right.
And congratulations on this year's International Women's Day.
Thank you.
It's quite significant. Of course, for us in Nigeria, this is 1 year since the coronavirus made a landfall on our country, and we have all seen the implications and the consequences. There are a number of matters arising from COVID-19 pandemic that the world has been dealing with, political, economic, health-wise in particular. But what is the special significance of this year's International Women's Day, globally and then for us as a country? Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. The significance of this year's International Women's Day, particularly the theme, Women in Leadership, it speaks volume and it's very apt. One, the world is focusing on the role of women in leadership. And this year is quite significant because God has enabled women to occupy certain strategic positions at the international level. Take, for example, the US election that took place, a woman emerged as the vice president. It's quite significant, and for America to set the pace, it speaks volumes. For us here in Nigeria, our own Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is occupying the seat, the first woman, the first African to occupy the seat of a Director General of World Trade Organization. That again speaks volume. And I believe you will agree with me that we have so many Nigerian women that are very capable to occupy any seat, both national, international level. Our own Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General, is keep making us proud. We have at the AU women, Fatima is there, making us proud at the AU, and so many other women as directors under the UN, AU. Back here in Nigeria, we are appealing, we are fighting to see that we have more women occupy leadership positions, particularly elective positions. It's not that we don't have women that are capable, they are capable. But the political parties, the structure of the party does not support or encourage them to get there. It's not that women are afraid to come out and contest election. The last 2019 election, we had over 2,900 women who came out, bought forms, and made attempts to contest, but they were manipulated along the line and phased out. Why? Because we don't have women at the National Working Committee of the party. That is the starting point. And we want to get it right this time. And that's why we are working with the Constitutional Review Committee of the party and the National Assembly. Until legislation is done, until things are put right, women will continue to suffer this setback.
All right, thank you. Senator Karat Guadabe, Chairperson Senators Forum. You must have scaled some hurdles, for you to become a senator of the Federal Republic, considering what the Honorable Minister has just, elucidated based on the situation in Nigeria politically, women's position in Nigeria. Now we're talking about International Women's Day celebration. What was your experience? And putting your experience in focus, what can be done, especially in the party machinery, to create an avenue for women to begin to have a say from the party mechanism, so that the women can now have a say in terms of vying for elected positions in the country?
Thank you for having me on the program. Yes, it wasn't easy when I ran for office. The dynamics were such that we were the trailblazer, if we call it, of the Fourth Republic, and that is taken over from the military. And in that hodgepodge of affairs, we didn't have a lot of women who were visible in running for elective office. What we had was a lot of women who were participating in the grassroots mobilization for parties and for male candidates. Now, I decided that I would start from the very, very beginning, where I'm encouraging people to do the same. It's important to be on the decision-making level. When I started, my first experience was I decided I wanted to run for the national legal advisor of the party, at that time PDP. So I was part of the formation, founding members of it. I took part when they were drafting the Constitution. I got involved. Now, by the time you bring out yourself to be involved in a lot of issues like that, then your people are getting to know you and your ability. Now, I was also a member of the first executive of the party, and right there in the decision-making of the party, I sat on the table. That also afforded me to understand the dynamics of party politics within the party structure. I remember a particular incident, one of our first meetings. A lady came to me and whispered and said, no, we were sitting at the meeting and they brought drinks, snacks for breaks. And the chairman asked the waiters to leave and they kept the snacks. Then one of our members, who was a woman also, came to two of us and said, let's get up and serve everyone. I looked at her. I said, my responsibility is not to come and serve tea here. I'm also legally here. Somebody should serve me. Maybe get one of the men to serve us. She looked at me and she was shocked, and she pulled back. Now, you have to realize Nigeria at that time didn't had this typical stereotype for women, and that is a particular position for us to serve men while they make their decisions. So I put my foot down there and she took note of that. Now, serving within the party structure, it enables you to understand the dynamics of which direction they're going, how they're going to decide if they're going to zone, and it is an opportunity to inject more flavoring. My running was quite interesting in Abuja here because I must give kudos to the people of the Federal Capital Territory. They really stood by me and gave me all their support on election day. But before election day, the dynamics of running was quite intriguing. I was surprised, I must tell you, there was no gender. Nobody discriminated against me because I was a woman. That shocked me. I was very surprised at that. Rather, the issue was, you are not an indigent. I suppose you are a woman. So I enjoyed that because they felt, it's a good idea. Maybe the woman can do it for us. And I remember my campaign, when I'm campaigning, I now say a lot of things, including that asking people to vote for the other candidates, provided they are more intelligent, more forthcoming, and especially if they are more beautiful than me. And they will laugh because I try to bring in humor and confidence into it. However, when you cross the hurdle of the most difficult part of election is the primaries within the party. How do you cross that? You have to understand the interplay. The so-called godfathers may decide this is the direction they're going. Well, in my experience, we didn't have too many godfathers, but they still decided they were going a particular direction, but you have to know how to navigate to get support on your side. The time is now, particularly for anybody that's interested in running for any office. Participate in party registration. Get involved at the registration level. Get involved at your wards. Run for offices at the ward level. As it is now, the opportunities are there. The discrimination is not as bad as we think. The women must decide and assert. We must assert ourselves. Decide what you want. Plan your thoughts. Plan your vision for the next 5 years. Assert yourself. Run for offices in your ward. Not just women position. Run for the chairman. Run for the ward secretary. Challenge the people. You'll be surprised that people will rather vote for you. But if you don't present yourself at that level, how would they would now come and knock on your door and say, come and lead us. The same thing goes to the local government party structure and finally the national party structure. We must have women. I think this time around, I will challenge women to run for national chairman of their parties. It's about time. Once we do that, we're going to change the pace, change the direction a lot more. I will continue.
All right, Senator Gwadabe, thank you very much. Amongst the points you made, Kirian, if you heard her while she was saying that at the time she was narrating her experience, the party didn't have too many godfathers. Mm-hmm. Just to underscore that even the few godfathers who were available at the time were sufficiently powerful enough to turn things around. All right. Thank you very much. We are the big fixers of that era. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's bring in now Talatu Aliyu. Talatu Aliyu, of course, in addition to political leadership, you have leadership in a wide variety of spheres. Early on, the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs was ticking off Nigerians who today are occupying very prominent positions. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, after the cliffhanger delay in her becoming WTO chieftain, she's of course sitting in Geneva today as Director General, Amina Mohammed. But so, these persons didn't just leapfrog into leadership positions. What, in your opinion, are the prerequisites for women to prepare themselves for leadership positions?
Thank you very much, and happy International Women's Day. For me, I'm going to speak on the perspective of development worker. So, women have what it takes to be in leadership position, if given the space. And what do we mean by that? You see, when you talk about women in leadership, globally, it is a concern where you have women being marginalized and women being taken relegated to the background. For instance, if you look at the status of women in leadership in Nigeria, for instance, there is low participation of women in leadership positions. And for us in the international development sector, we try as much as possible to ensure that we are able to nurture women right from the grassroots to enable them to have voice and to be able to speak up, whereby their voices are being heard. We have in several instances worked with women, especially in the rural areas where we have women have been marginalized. We have tried as much as possible to ensure that we build the capacity of women to ensure that they vie in for positions, be it at the formal or informal decision-making structures. I give you an example of a project that we just concluded. It's a voice and accountability project, where we trained 19,532 community persons, out of which we have 9,379 women who have directly benefited from our capacity building actions, whereby we train them on civic education, advocacy, election, lobby, and the rest. And it will interest you to know that after doing this, women have been able to be placed in some strategic leadership position at the community level, especially when it has to do with decision-making structures. Because we know that in most African countries and in Nigeria, to be specific, women, social cultural norms have suppressed women. We also have an issue of political exclusion. We also have the issue of lopsidedness of economy, whereby women's voice have been, women have been dictated, you know, and their voice have been suppressed. So it takes a lot of skills and a lot of empowerment. If women are being empowered and are given the space to be able to strive and show their potentials, believe you me, women will take up leadership position. This is not just a Nigerian issue, it's a global issue. We have 22 women head of state or head of government in 22 countries, and of that is just 24.9% of these women that are parliamentarians. It falls short of that gender equality for 2030 that we are yearning for. Because if we don't consciously imbibe women, put them into programs that will help empower them and make them vie for all these positions, it will be a long call for us to have this gender equality. So a day like this is a time for us to showcase, to acknowledge, and to talk about women's rights and gender equality, parity, and a call for action to accelerate that call for gender and women's rights. Again, you will see that for us, the significance of this International Women's Day is for us to, you know, reflect on the progress we have made, then to call for a change, and also to celebrate the acts and courage and determination of ordinary women who have done extraordinary things in their communities and in their countries.
Talatu, thank you very much. We know that this is a day for stock taking, as it were, and then also projecting. But the question which I asked, I'm going to pose that question now to the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs. We're talking about women in leadership. And the question is, what are the prerequisites? How do we prepare our women to assume a leadership role? Just first of all, understanding what leadership is all about. I mean, as a lead, education is critical. So, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. Nigerian women have done so much. And the Ministry of Women Affairs, we have been doing a lot of training, mentoring the young ones especially. But top on my agenda is the education of the girl child, because education is key. And with good education, if we have more girls being fully educated, mentored, and guided, we will have better leaders. Let me give you an example. Last year, we had a special program, the mentoring program, organized by the Ministry and UN Women, where we selected young female graduates across the country. And we call it a shadowing program, and attach them to female chief executives. Take, for example, all female ministers, women chief executives in various parastatals were attached. These girls were attached to them, and they watched them from morning, all the activities. Starting from leaving the house in the morning, she will be with me, the one that was attached to me, and all the rest, even female ambassadors who are also working with me, they mentored and had this shadowing program. And these girls watch and see us. They sit with us at meetings. They see how we conduct the affairs of our office from morning till closing days. And at the end of that program, the testimonies was overwhelming. We had arranged it for 1 week, but after 1 week, most of them refused to go. They said they were ready for us to extend it. And some of the ministers so much enjoyed it and requested for extension. So we will continue again this year. And these are the type of things. Mentoring is very important, education is very important, and training is very important. That we're doing, but we need more support to be able to do more of this. We also appeal to state government because we have more women at the state and local government level. We have a structure where the Ministry of Women Affairs at the state level replicate and do exactly what we are doing here. The same thing at the local government level. We have social welfare officers where they reach out and help the women at the grassroots. And with that, if we have more women in decision making at the local government level as councillors, as chairmen of local government, as secretaries, we will have a better feel of this and we'll be able to empower, encourage, and mentor these girls better. I must commend most of our state governors because we reach out to most of them to encourage and support us because everything depends on them. They are the key godfathers. They are the ones that cut the shots. They decide what. And without lobbying and getting them to realize the need of carrying women along, Nigeria will be working as a disabled child because where the majority of the population is neglected, then it means we're walking on one foot. And that is not healthy for us. Nigeria is a country that the whole of Africa and the world look up to us. We must set the pace. We must lead by example for other African countries to follow. But most of the other African countries, you'll agree with me, like Namibia, they have the Zebra program where it's 50-50. We have South Africa, we have Dakar, Senegal. Rwanda is key, Rwanda is number one, where they believe in involving more women in leadership. And that's why the country is progressing very fast. A woman is a mother, a woman is a mentor, a woman nurtures the leaders. If she can nurture and bring up great leaders, great men like you.
So what is missing now, Kirin? I mean, because that's
we have had women leaders in this country in the past.
Yes.
We've had
not at the highest level yet.
Fulmilayo Ransom Kuti. We had Margaret Epo. These are women who distinguish themselves among the men.
Yes.
They never required any special kind of treatment before they got to where they were at the time. And we rightly mentioned names of Nigerians and African leaders who are at the international level at leadership position. Right now, the issue of mentoring, which we mentioned, is very critical, and that's highly appreciated. But what happens is we keep asking this question: what then are women looking for? If you have the capacity to be where you are today, as Pauline Tarlin, I've had her name in politics for over the years, there must be something special about you that made the men who contested with you to allow you a space, including whatever here. Now, what would be your advice to an average Nigerian woman who has an ambition, who wants to be in leadership, her trajectory in terms of making her vision a reality?
Thank you very much, Kiria. My advice to women, and most cases, anytime we are mentoring them, is to start by asserting themselves and identifying with the needs of their local community. Every politics is local. You must start from the grassroots. You must identify with the people. You must share in their pains and their joys. Whatever is happening in your community, you must assert yourself and show concern. If it is time that the community is in trouble or mourning, identify with them. If it is a joyous occasion, identify with them. Whatever is the occasion, assert yourself and be part of it. If there's a problem, try to find solutions to that problem. Maybe there's a broken bridge, or maybe the community hospital healthcare center is overgrown by grass and it's dangerous for people to walk across to the hospital. Organize, mobilize the women, mobilize the youth as a mother, and lead by doing something, clearing the road, opening up the access road, and clean up the public or civic center where the public uses it. By the time you do all these little things, you will touch the heart of even the leaders in the community, the chiefs. They will say, there's something special about this woman. She knows our problem. She's trying to find solutions to it. Let's listen to her, or let's give her a chance. That will speak for you. That will sell you out. So it's just like the example my sister Hirat clearly said here. You must assert yourself. You must be confident and know what you want, and then work towards achieving it.
Thank you. I'll just back to Senator Hirat Kwadabe. While we are on this aspect of starting up from the grassroots, earlier you talked about the necessity for women at this initial stage to get themselves embedded. I'm sorry, that wouldn't be the right word to use now, so that I'm not misunderstood. To get themselves involved in the various party structures. Sometimes it is said that little gains often grow to become big gains. Occasionally, if not most of the time, we tend to look at the higher echelons of power. I don't know what the numbers are. I think we had you on Good Morning Nigeria at some point, and you were reading out some figures. For instance, in states where there are democratically elected local governments, as prescribed by the Constitution, even though a good number of them are run by caretakers, and that is one unconstitutionality that has bedeviled us since 1999. How many women are councillors? How many women are local government chairpersons? So that if you went to a meeting of Argon at the state level or at the national level, how many women do you see? Who therefore could now be the posters, as it were, for other women, rather than saying, okay, we're looking to see right at the top. So at that level, and local government is very critical, is the collapse of the local government structure.
That we see.
That it's the major problem that we're having today. So is it possible to galvanize and say, look, let's begin to take it from this very basic but critical level?
Yes, I agree. If I may emphasize again, the stepping stone in the political arena for women representation, more women representation, is in the involvement with the party structure. If you are not involved with your party at your ward level, and many areas have wards and you have zones within your ward. So if you attend, you must at least attend your zonal ward levels meetings and be known. If you are really not known in your environment and on election day you come out and say, please vote for me, I'm aspiring for councillor, you are unknown. It's just like somebody that's just returned from UK to Nigeria and says, oh, I want to represent you in my community. They will probably encourage him or her just to get his money for that period. But if somebody is known, every party wants to win election. They will not want to field somebody that will make them fail elections. So women must be part of that structure at the beginning, so that when they stand up to say, I'm running for councillor, amongst them in that locality, everybody will say, she will win, let's give her a chance. Make yourself a winner. How do you do that? You must first acquire communication. What do I mean by communication? By sitting back, nobody knows your intention. Nobody can read your mind. Communicate your intention. Wherever you are, even if you're in the board, in the business world, you must communicate, oh, I'm interested in being director XYZ. If you don't let people know, how would they begin to think about you when the time comes? If you are interested, communicate that intention out early. 2, acquire skills, develop yourself. What is your standard of education? Even if the basic requirement is school sat, fine. You can acquire other skills, know your environment, know what is needed for the job, and ensure that you can communicate, you can disseminate, and you can encourage people to support you. Support is the 3rd. How do you reach out for support? Do you know who your leaders are in your community? Have you ever visited them? Do you know what the problems in that community is? What about your youth leaders? Who are the youths? What do they want? What do they do in that area? What is it that you are bringing to the fold? You want to be a counselor. Why do you want to be a counselor? What is wrong with the counselor we have? What are you bringing? You must be different. You must make sure you are selling something different that is acceptable and is timely. Now, by moving within that your environment, you project yourself higher. When people are talking about appointments, when a government is formed and they want to put members, they want to constitute boards and things, they ask the community, the wards, the local government, who are the people we can use for appointment. If you could easily emerge, if you have been, they'll say, oh, this particular lady has been very active. And then before you know it, you appointed a minister, you appointed a commissioner. But if you just sit silently at home and believe, oh, they should appoint me, that doesn't work. At this juncture, I would like to call out those I will call them, those who have gone to the level of university education, let me use that general terminology, who usually are laid back, armchair politicians. They don't get involved, but after elections have been won and lost, they're the most critical of the government process. They're the most critical of all the processes. But the question to them is, what did you do for the evolution of that process? This is now, get up, go to your wards, be in the ward executive. If we cannot get people of like minds who want a different Nigerian participating in the ward structures, because these are the people that would decide those who would represent us all. For instance, in a community, let's say, Wuse, for instance, or let me just take Maitama. The elites of Maitama, they're stewards, they're drivers, they're megats, and they're general dog's body, people that work for them, are the ones that will be attending ward meetings. They're the ones that will be making the decision when it comes to electing those who represent that ward. Now, the question is, what kind of people will emerge from that? When a person who is educated, when the man or the owner of the house one day decides, I want to run for House of Reps, the same level of staff that you refuse to go and that you are dictating to your home environment are the ones you're going to have to sit with, who will now decide whether they'll let you go through and represent them or not. So my question is, where are all the educated elites? There must be at these respective ward levels. I had the experience that in my ward, the chairman of my ward at the time I was there was a Meshai. A Meshai is the man that sells tea at the corner. And these were the people at their level, very smart politically, that have to decide whether I can go forward or not. Now, the understanding is very different. So when you say money politics comes to play in evolution or emergence of a candidate, it is the level we see ourselves at when we appear at the wards or the local government election selectum process that we now are faced with trying for somebody to understand why it is important to disregard monetary values for now and invest in someone that will bring further development and opportunities to ensure greater Nigeria. They don't get it.
Okay. Well, in other words, you are encouraging the women to get involved at the grassroots level, because politics, they say, is local.
Yes, they must be involved.
All right. Let's bring in Talatu here. At Talatu, you have the monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning manager. Now, we are talking about women leadership, women and leadership here. Now, what is the role of your office in preparing women for leadership? And in your opinion, what kind of empowerment do you think women need to be able to participate actively in politics?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, for us in Christian Aid Nigeria, women happens to be one of our target beneficiaries in all that we do. And as such, we have made it a conscious effort in programming to ensure that whatever we think we do is an all-inclusive approach to programming. So for us, we have strived to ensure that women's voices are being enhanced in whatever thing we do. For the Voice and Accountability project that we just concluded, we have been able to train women and ensure that their spaces are being there for them so that they are being represented, not just participation, we also make sure that they are being represented. The Voice and Accountability project, which was conducted in 359 local government across 359 communities, I beg your pardon, across 36 local government in 7 states, across 2 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Talk about all the southeast states and northwest state, Kaduna state to be precise. We have through our various capacity programs ensure that we empower women to ensure that they participate meaningfully, not just participate, meaningfully and effectively, such that their voices are being heard. Because before now, when you talk to women, they tell you that their voices do not matter in decision-making structure. And for us in Christian Aid, we ensure that women are all inclusive in the planning and in the implementation of all our projects. So you see, women are a critical stakeholder in all sphere of development, and as such, they shouldn't be excluded. So it's not just in leadership position, so also in other aspects of life. For instance, we have women who are also front runners in the fight against this COVID-19 pandemic. We have women there as scientists, we have them as doctors, we have them as caregivers who have given in their all in all to ensure that the fight for this pandemic is something that we achieve success. And it will interest you to know that of all this globally, women are being paid 11% less than their male counterpart. You know, and again, for us, it is something of concern. So we try to ensure that whatever thing we do, there is that collaboration. We ensure that we work with the government and the relevant stakeholders to ensure that in all that we do, women are being carried along, be it at local, be it at the national, be it at the state, so that whatever thing we do, the voices of women are being heard. So it's in line with what Christian Aid does, is in line with this year's theme for the International Women's Day, that is Choose to Challenge. We try to challenge and ensure that women's voices are not being dictated by either social norms or political exclusion or economic lopsidedness. So my organization, Christian Aid, in all it does, in intervention, be it humanitarian, be it development, women form a very critical part of our engagement. Without women, we do not
there's
ensure
one
that.
issue she raised, last week, disparity in salary for remuneration for women, and it happens in America as well. I remember that Clinton, when she was running, actually said that she was going to do something about that. And I wonder why, in such a developed country, that you find that if a woman puts in the same hours as a man, they don't take home the same amount of money.
Well, Kieran, that's the surprise. The surprise shouldn't be that much. American democracy is over 200 years old. It was only last year that for the first time they elected a woman as vice president. And women only got the vote just about 100 years ago in those so-called advanced democracies. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on NTA's network service. We're taking a short break now. When we return, of course, we'll continue with the conversation.
A new edition of TV Guide is out with special focus on the game changer, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. Broadcasting in a digital economy, Maxwell Logo gives an insight. This edition also features Nancy Naji of AIT, a name synonymous with business. Meet the NCDC boss, Dr. Chikwe Ihekweazu. TV Guide, your indispensable companion, also x-rays the relevance of social media in the modern society. Meet some TV professionals who have impacted their spaces and other inspiring stories in sports, entertainment, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTAi stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Dialogue, empathy, love, and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
For all to be well, we appeal that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy. Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTAi, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
All right, you're welcome back here and you're still watching Good Morning Nigeria. I want to bring in again the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talent. Our focus appears largely on development and then politics, which distinguished senators talked about. Of course, you have also have long-standing experience in politics, former Deputy Governor of Plateau State. In terms of focusing advocacy, and therefore seeking to achieve results, an idea just occurred to me to say, look, all right, can we, the advocates now, seek to deliberately smash another glass ceiling that we find in leadership positions? 35 years ago, I remember that as a young reporter, the Nigerian space was abuzz when military President Ibrahim Babangida appointed the first female vice-chancellor of a Nigerian university. Alele Williams, a mathematician, Professor Grace Alele Williams. Today, Honorable Minister, I don't know the numbers, but I understand we have about 99 federal universities. Private universities also run into their tents.
40.
How many are state universities? How many of these institutions today have women as their vice-chancellors? Privately owned universities, federally owned universities, and state-owned universities. And if I may also state this a bit provocatively, on the basis of the relative autonomy that universities also have, what might happen? Ahmadu Bello University had a sole administrator in this country at some point. So what might happen if ABU were to have a female vice-chancellor, BUK were to have a female vice-chancellor, UDUS were to have a female vice-chancellor, University of Jos were to have a female vice-chancellor? Can we, that's a leadership position,
Sure.
and a big one. University of Lagos was celebrating sometime last year when you had an acting vice-chancellor who was a woman. It was the first time it was happening because they had some squabble in their governing council. But she stepped down once that squabble was resolved. So is that a focus? Is that an area of focus? It's a position of leadership and accountability. What can be done?
Yes, thank you very much. A lot can be done because, like the appointment of female vice-chancellor does not lie on the president or the Minister of Education.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. It lies with the council, the governing council of that university. And I will give you a clear example. Just as what we were saying, that you must be in the system. If you are not in the system, politics, you must be in the party structure. You must be in the governing council. We need to have more women as chairmen of governing councils. Until we get that, all that we are struggling is...
Appointing members of governing council is the responsibility of the visitor.
Of the VC.
Of the visitor.
Yes.
Namely the president for federal universities,
yes,
and then governor for state universities.
That's right.
So
that we are working on it.
Fantastic.
And I can tell you, we are able to succeed in having a female vice-chancellor in the University of Calabar for the first time because we had a chairman of the governing council. And I'm so proud of her. Former Senator Nkechi, God used her because she was the chairman of the governing council. She put her feet down, and not that the woman, Professor Florence Obi, is not because she was a woman that she was more than qualified. She was the most qualified among all those that contested. And again, another opportunity that favors her was because we had a female female chairman of the governing council. So if we have more women occupying positions of governing councils of our universities, and the visitors of the universities, like the state universities, are gender sensitive, or they are a he for she, as we are honoring some governors now who have deliberately performed so well. I can give you an example. Kwara State stands out. The governor of Kwara State has made deliberate efforts. Kwara State, Lagos State, Kaduna State, name it. Ebonyi State, Sokoto State, these are states that have deliberately engaged women, but at the local government level. If I tell you how many women are occupying positions as councillors through our lobbying with these governors in these states I mentioned, you'll be amazed.
Those are caretakers.
Yes, caretakers.
We want democratically elected.
Yes, no, even democratically elected, the governors have a say because they are the leaders of the party. And that's why I'm appealing to them. Make history, leave a legacy, and pay back something to these women who have contributed immensely in voting you into office. If we are able to do that, it's fairness. If we are fair to women, we will give them their rights. But somehow, they forget easily when they get into office. I commend Mr. President because the 7 of us that are in the Federal Executive Council are performing so well. I celebrate my sister, the Minister of Finance. I celebrate the Minister of Humanitarian. I celebrate the 3 Ministers of State, the FCT, Minister of State, Trade and Industry, Minister of State Environment, Minister of State Environment. All these women are performing exceptionally well, and they are making women proud. I appeal that all leaders should do same by giving more opportunities to women, because just 7 out of 43, and yet they are impacting so much on the lives of Nigerians. If we have more of them, the society will be better off it. We have so many female chief executives that are doing exceptionally well. The SSA on
when she said that
SDGs.
that she's lobbying.
Yes, I'm lobbying, and I will continue to lobby. I will not get tired. I will continue to lobby, and we will celebrate them. We celebrate them as a he for
But
she.
it's significant that in the past 10 years, Nigeria has had only female ministers of finance.
Yes.
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 10 years.
Yes.
It's more than 10 years.
No, 10 years.
10 years.
Past 10 years. Just
Yes.
from 2011.
2011 to 2021.
Before Konjo-Iweala, you had an admix
That is significant.
of men and women. But
Yes.
Past 10 years, all women.
And the head of service too.
And head of service.
And head of
as well,
service.
From Ama Purple.
Right to now.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right.
We've maintained that.
That. So, I mean,
So you can't complain too loudly.
No. I will still complain.
Women are really having their fair share.
No. We say thank you. We
We
say thank you to Mr. President, but we're asking for more because we deserve more.
About the women, kudos to the finance ministers. They've actually pulled us out of recession.
Yes.
Very rapidly, very tactfully, and saved a lot of money. That's kudos. I think they should continue giving women that position. Should be a reserve seat.
Actually, we had that on this program.
This is because women are better managers.
No, the way you are saying, if you say you are better managers, well and good.
From the home to everywhere.
If you say that they are better managers.
When Honorable Minister, if you have money now, you put tie it around this.
And we manage it well. We manage it well for the family.
Manage it well,
For the family.
They will say that I don't have money. I don't have money.
Now, before we call it a day, I want to bring in Senator Carrot wherever here, and I want to talk about the number of women you have at the National Assembly. Are you satisfied in 1 or 2 words? And if not, what can be done? We're out of time.
We can't be satisfied with the number. We are glad we got that number, but we are not satisfied with it. We also need more women to represent people in their respective constituencies. I would appeal mostly to different constituencies in Nigeria. Put forward your women. Support your women when they want to run. And women, please, character is important. Build it. Be known for something. Stand for the right thing. And be out there. Be the people's choice. And you will be surprised how the public will support you to victory.
Senator Carrot Gwadabe, Chairperson, Senators Forum, we thank you for your time. And of course, your wealth of experience, which you brought to bear on this edition of the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All
It's
right.
my pleasure.
And of course, Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Paul in Tallinn. We're glad you're here this morning, as always. Thank you indeed for coming.
Thank you.
All right. And Talatu Aliyu, Monitoring, Evaluation, Accountability and Learning Manager, Christian Aid, UK, Nigeria. It's been wonderful talking to you this morning.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so that's it for us on Good Morning Nigeria. Thank you for tuning in. The program is back tomorrow, same time, 7 in the morning. Until then, stay safe and be well. I'm Kingsley Usadolo.
And I am Kieran. You might have a great day.
What does it take to get ahead in today's world? To get your dream job, the perfect girl, even a table at your favorite dance club. It takes moving fast. It takes moving at the speed of 4G. With Intel 4G LTE, you've got it all covered. That's because you have access to super fast unlimited data that enables you move as fast as the speed of light. Now, no download is too heavy, no conversation too long. Nothing is impossible. Get Intel 4G LTE Advanced today and do so much more. Intel. Live more.
This is the network service of the NTAi.
The wise ones have said that man proposes, but God disposes. To some people, it's just a saying, but it's the truth. It's something that truly happens, and I've seen it happening. Welcome. This is Thoughts for the Week with me, Cordelia Ogbe. Now, let's start off by, answering some of these questions. Do you have parents who maybe now have retired, have gone back to the village, maybe they're somewhere close to you, or your in-laws? You have? Now the next question is, how often do you reach out to them? How often do you care for them? Question. Think about that. There are people who believe that they do not owe their parents anything at all. That after all, did I beg you to call me from heaven? I was staying on my own jeje when you gave birth to me. Sending them to school, doing this and that, is something you ought to have done for them because you fathered them or mothered them, so they have come to believe, so they have come to say. But our elders, are they very happy with this? Not so. Let me share a story with you that our elders shared with us. The story of the woodpecker. The woodpecker is a bird that digs very well into wood and all that. It digs very well. At a point, the old mother had wanted to see him. Oh, I'll see her later, I'll see her later, I'll see her later. He kept saying that, procrastinating. And then the woodpecker had this very beautiful plan that whenever the old mother dies, he was going to dig a very beautiful grave for the mother using his very powerful beak. And alas, the mother died. And the woodpecker, on that very day of the burial, had a big ball on his beak. And so, the woodpecker could not do what he had dreamt of doing, digging a big grave for the mother. Our elders say, if your relation is dancing well in an arena, but you do not have money to dole on him, your hearty cheers would do. Put simply, you may not have much to give to your parents right now, but your encouragement, talking to them, talking with them, visiting them when you can, would go a long way. It would be like you are cheering them on for all the work they've done. We've come to see that in this region, and maybe other parts of the world, I don't know about them, I'll speak about this region. You'll find that when somebody dies, an old man, woman dies, you find everybody rallying around the children trying to raise money to do what? To go and modify their home house, or to try and build a house before they can bury their loved ones. That can be very painful, especially maybe when they were alive, you didn't do anything at all for them. Now let me share some of these quotes with you. To care for those who once cared for you is one of the highest honors. Parents, they didn't leave you when you were young, so don't leave them when they are old. So, our thoughts for the week. Are you one of those who believe that your parents, you do not owe them anything when they become old and all retired because they did what they had to do for you because they gave birth to you and so on? Till I come your way again, do think about these things and remember that what goes around comes around. My name is Cordelia Obe. Take care.
Today's survey of style and culture takes us back to Ibadan for the second half of our Made in Niger journal. We'll bring you more stories that tap into the core of the creative industry, revealing a fearless commitment to keeping the arts and the culture alive.
Handcrafted accessories are a personal favorite of mine. And Made in Niger Expo was stacked with unique handcrafted accessories for your wardrobe and as well as your home. Let's take a look at exceptional accessories and home decor, all made in Niger.
I'm an African woman, and as an African woman, you should be proud of yourself and being able to promote your culture in anything, in any aspect you find yourself.
The painter and textile designer behind Rose Art World first started making colorful bead accessories to complement her equally vibrant fabrics. She says beads connect her to the fashion culture of generations of women she grew up with.
I grew up from seeing my old grandmas, the way they dress, and the way their beads, they look beautiful. So from my paintings and my belief about the beauty of an African woman, that's how I come into making beads.
For Labazaki, the concept of African feminine beauty is one that she explores in her different creative endeavors. While the original inspiration is a nod to tradition, she brings a contemporary feel to bead making by incorporating different materials like leather, bamboo, wood, and shells.
I don't need to buy expensive gold and jewelry before I look beautiful. We are Africans and we should make use of our products in Africa. And I don't need to buy an imported bead from abroad. I get my materials from Malaysia here. I make use of the African curry. Sometimes I make use of bamboo. I make use of ropes too. So you can tie it to any length you want it to be. I make use of the fishing line, I make use of the wood beads, and in the wood beads I have different colors. You also have to have varieties and good combinations or good outcomes.
What could be a more apt tool for promoting, preserving, and redefining the African narrative than the rich African soil? Literally, the lightning arts is crafting earrings, pots, planters, and different home and garden wares from clay using traditional methods.
I started my journey, my pottery process while I was in Lautech. I studied fine and applied arts, ceramic option, but I've been into the product, manufacturing this since about 6-7 years ago now. So I started from 200 level when we started making clay works and all that, until after school I had my studio right from 400 level, and we started selling pots from Ogbomoso to Lagos, Calabar, Bayelsa, and every other part of the country. The first thing is writing and retelling our own stories by our own self. Yeah, in most cases, Africans, we have let the other part of the world tell our stories. But it's time for us to stand up and start telling the world that this is who we are. Now, the second thing we stand for is to preserve our culture. We want to stay true to it.
The brightly colored prints and patterns on display from House of Shemariah are intentional, using indigenous African textile and locally sourced materials to create handcrafted fashion and home furnishing accessories.
We use Ankara, of course, in general, then we use Akwete, Kente, and then Ofi. Like this bag now is Damask. This is Ofi, and then this is Ankara. So, yeah, lined with suede. So a midi work bag, and then matching sandals. So it's Ofi and Ankara. So we just like to switch it up, combine, and see how well we can bring it out. The idea is to incorporate it into our daily living, into our lifestyle. That is the beauty of African textile.
The designer says the colorful idea is to create as many options as possible that will resonate with a diverse range of personalities, color preferences, feelings, and moods. Perhaps a vibrant print will lift a mood, provide calm, or spark creativity. Either way, there were plenty of options that certainly left us inspired. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Made in Niger just after the break.
I think it's very important to have this sort of place where artists can display their works, lovers of art can come and have a look and buy and encourage them. Because years ago, you had a place like this, Mbari Mbayo, where artists went, lovers of art went, but all that's gone. And for many years now, the younger generation we found really didn't have any idea of what's going on, of what's happening, an appreciation of art and also cultural things. So having a place like this is fantastic. And when you have a place like this, then there'll be a demand for people to produce things that will be displayed here. You're creating employment. You're creating a natural love for the arts.
This took me like 3 days to cover up because we needed to get materials and make a real archetype of what an Ankara teddy bear should look like.
Now, that's something you don't get to see every day. Another colorful display from Crafts by Made, who's using fabrics from different regions of Africa to portray the continent's creative spirit.
We use African fabrics to portray Africa. For instance, we use Ankara, we use Ashoke, we use Kente, anything African fabrics to produce things you can't think of, interior decorations. We use our African fabrics to make earrings, accessories we wear. We used to make hair bonnets, shoelaces, like this. And this is our new fashion tote bag. We made it from a Ghanaian fabric. What if I travel to Ghana? How would I portray Africa there? What if I travel to Togo? How would I portray Africa there? So I want to give a picture of Africa.
Another out-of-the-box idea from Hawa Mercy Crafts, who uses the crochet skills she learned all the way back in primary 2 to transform everyday accessories into works of art.
To me, I see people make crochet cardigan, wears alone, and I think it's a thing I can instead of wrapping my flip-flop, like I think crochet is another thing I can use to make my own way, my own style of work. because I know there are not a lot of people are not into this. So I decided to start. I decided to try it. I give it a try at first, and I think it's good, and I started doing it. I'm only trying to promote our art and culture. That's my plan, because right from on saying, I don't believe I can make this, but it was, at the time I just stood up and I was like, all these things, the way people are looking down on Nigeria is not good enough. So I decided to think wide, then make my crochet in another way, in another pattern, different what people have been making. And I think I tried it and it came out nice.
For the prospective couples looking to add some flair to the special day, May's Couture was on hand with handcrafted accessories like neckties, boutonnieres, and even this extravagant headpiece for the adventurous bride.
We make menswear and accessories, grooms and groomsmen outfits and accessories, and brides and bridesmaids accessories. We make bow ties, and here are samples. These are bow ties made with African prints. This is an ashoke made bow tie. It is made with ashoke. Then we have pocket squares, we have socks, we have cufflinks, we have fabric roses, we have boutonnieres for grooms. Then we have metal brooches and lapel pins. We have fila, even the belts, ties and all, they're all handmade in Ibadan here.
It's a kind of showcase of the best of what we have in this country. We can see a lot of cultural articles on display, and it goes to tell how much resources we have in stock that is not even being tapped. Just one item is enough to tell you 1,000 stories, and I think with this kind of effort being put in place, it just goes to show how much more things we can project from this country. It's a huge resource base for us that we have not really maximized, and we try to do everything in our own capacity to project things like this. That's why we bring younger people to come and experience, to have their imaginations wowed, to have them explore what we have. With things like this, I see dresses on display, beautiful ones. I see artworks, I see crafts, I see a lot of things that speaks to us, speaks to our heritage and origin. And these are the kind of things that we as Africans, as Nigerians, should promote by all means.
While creative industries around the world are recently catching up with the idea of sustainability, African creatives have been incorporating this for years, creating value from the things we discard.
We spotted this lady in red rocking some seriously unique jewelry that caught our attention. Her earrings were made from bottle cork and pearl beads, while her necklace was a repurposed string of bottle caps. Talk about a real conversation piece. Jumoke Olowokere is the founder and creative director of African Creative Sustainable Synergy Hub, an award-winning social enterprise on a mission to create a world without waste. Reduce, reuse, refuse, recycle, repair, and upcycle. Using these principles, the environmental designer began exploring the concept of repurposing everyday waste from her home. The personal project eventually expanded into an avenue for education and creating one-of-a-kind pieces, including jewelry, mirrors, planters, and art installations. Here, a group of students recite a mantra she's passed on to them. During a workshop she started to engage young people in repurposing everything from glass to plastic to discarded tires. Another powerful sustainable presence at the expo was Miti Meth. They create handcrafted products using renewable natural fibers that would otherwise be considered environmental waste. These natural fibers include weeds like water hyacinth and taifa grass, as well as agricultural residue like banana bark and coconut shells. In the case of water hyacinth, Miti Meth turns the harvesting into an opportunity to provide education and livelihood to residents of the riverine areas where the weeds are heavily populated. The harvested weeds are then sun-dried and used to make beautiful accessories and home decor items.
The past few years, I've been worried about the younger generation. And in the 60s, 70s, we used to have Mbayo, where the cultural aspect of Nigeria is shown. The artists will bring their things, and we will have activities connected with cultural activities. And I'm so happy with this center that at least it will give us activities in the city.
Through upscaling and recycling, the Made in Niger Expo has showed us how the things we consider waste can have a second life. In a similar vein, old concepts were revamped with a modern-day twist.
An intriguing sight at the expo was a set of games from heritage preservers, combining nostalgia with cultural education and, of course, good old fun. The creator is hoping he can give people a reason to converge for recreation while also learning something about Nigerian culture.
Araje, according to the Yoruba language, it is a business. How we do business, what business is, our money. Ajay as a deity is a deity of wealth, riches and prosperity. So Ajay is how we get those wealth and riches. We try to bring in a lot of cultural concepts that would form solutions to bigger problems. Just like we have the Okmo Ifa, which is the Yoruba Encyclopedia of Wisdom, incorporated into the game. We have the Destiny, we have Human Destiny, which is Anyomoeda, our towns and villages, our deities. The concept of the game came from listening to a group of young men discussing about sports betting. And these youths cannot communicate in English. They cannot say a correct line in English, but they're so much knowledgeable about sports betting. Now, one of them said he made some money, which was huge enough for him to have started a better life. And he couldn't utilize the money properly because he said he doesn't have business skills. One way of teaching people is using fun to teach. So I came up with the concept of let's look for something that can teach business from the local language, with the local language, so for people like those to be able to learn. But as time went by and I started working on this, I realized if I'm trying to bring in the local language, that means I'm bringing in the culture. Now the other game, Aerial Rokiko, is actually a game based on Scrabble, on the process of Scrabble, but we have looked into Yoruba language from the Scrabble point of view. Our Yoruba words are unique.
As far back as 1998, we held something in London called Africa at Whiteley's. We had King Sunny Ade playing his music for free in a central London retail mall. Tower Records was selling his music. We had a retail store within the mall, almost the size of this space. And we were selling designers who were starting out then but have become globally. Etwen Bassi, Kosiba Creations, Claire Khan from Senegal. So it was an early opportunity to recognize the viability of our creative industries in the export arena. So there were people, the same way you've seen people playing our cultural games, Onyibos were learning how to play Ayo. They were watching our people spray King Sunny Ade, pound sterling and things. But it was a taste of African culture in the United Kingdom. We want our public leaders to talk about Buy Niger, support your local economy, wear Niger, show pride in what we create. In Yoruba say Tiwan Tiwa. And I always say I like to pay tribute to my mother. As we were growing up, we have always worn Niger. We've had tailors who were making, when we traveled to the States on sabbatical, we wore Niger. She spoke Yoruba to us at home to make sure that we kept and inculcated that pride in who we are as a people. Let's take pride in who we are, what we have, and the rest of the world will take pride in it with us.
This movement weaves a rich tapestry that cuts across the global human experience to tell stories of creativity, resilience, passion, individuality, artistry, a reverence for culture and heritage, and generations of style.
The recognition of African creatives is long overdue, and Made in Niger was a monumental outpouring of talent that left a lasting impact. Every week, we shine a spotlight on our homegrown talents in an effort to urge you, the viewers, to validate the hard work behind their many labors of love, to restore the respect to their craft, and to find value in their efforts. Join us again, same time, next week.
I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it.
Somebody called me that there is a form that people are filling. I should go and fill.
Then I went there, she gave me one, I filled the form.
We are 3 in number, they working together. We got form from federal government.
After 2 weeks, I received a lot of 30,000 naira from federal government.
I used the 30,000 naira to buy so many things like equipment.
The money really helped me. The next week I went to market, I increased my business.
I thank my president who got touched to give us this such amount. I say, may God bless him.
I really thank the government, the federal government, more especially President Muhammad Buhari, because he is the one that signed the money. I am very, very grateful for them.
Tourism in Nigeria centers largely on events. Due to the country's ample amount of ethnic groups, which also includes rainforests, savanna, waterfalls, and other natural attractions. However, Ondo State is very rich in cultural tourism, and it has so many historical sites which are natural phenomena that are of interest to tourists, some of which can be found in Oka Akoko, Oka town is located northeast of Akure, the capital of Ondo State, and 113 kilometers away from the city.
When I visited His Imperial Majesty, Arole Odua, Oba Kunade Shijuade, Olubuse II, 1990, he made me to understand that Oka migrated from Ile-Ife in 1642, precisely from Okewere. We passed through many routes. We finally settled at a place called Mesila-Sigidi in Ekiti State. We were there for centuries, for many years. In fact, the relics of our staying there, you see here the mark, Okatedo. We call that place Okatedo. But the name is Lasigidi. And that is why we refer to us Okarufe. Okarufe. That is Oka Ife. When finally we moved from Mesila Sigidi, we finally moved down gradually, and we came to Oka and settled under the leadership of Okikan. Some people, some other refer to him as Unka. Odudu has so many children. His own is to count people Unka. That's why we derive the name Oka, who is the first Olubaka of Oka. So, but each of other quarters are headed by high chiefs. Depending on the size of the quarter, some of them have minor chiefs up to 5, and they run the administration on daily basis with the assistance of the elders. We refer to them as the Hare, and then the traditional police who there, and then the entire people. At their own village level, they have meetings, settle and iron out small disputes. Where we have major disputes, it will now come to Urban Council.
The people are predominantly migrant farmers, most of whom engage in mere subsistence farming.
A bird cannot fly with one wing. And the importance of women in the society is very, very, very crucial. And in terms of commerce, in terms of farming, because when the husband is clearing, they farm, they do all sort of things. So, and they nurture the future generation, our children and others. So, and we have to encourage them. And that is why the moment I came, I will be the first traditional ruler to install women as chiefs to be able to assist me. I'm here now, I don't know what is happening. So the Yaloja will coordinate the activities of the market women. And if there are things to be done, he will come and inform me.
I believe Oka women, they are good women. Their children behave well. And we Oka women, we impart good training in our children. That's why you can see Oka people doing well, home and abroad. Anywhere you see an Oka indigene, you will know that this is from Oka, because they are always pace setter. They are always at the front.
The town is situated on the tableland, and every approach to it is always an upgoing movement on the plateau itself. Also, beautiful hills are slotted in circular formation round this beautiful town.
We have 15 quarters, and each of them, they move not at the same time. Some came through en route Ekiti State, or Agbado, Ado, some other areas like that, in that side, Ekiti State. Then some move closely to Benin before they finally settle down here, around the farm area like that, and even Owo. You know, they have to pass through some villages and towns before they eventually came down here.
By the time we came, that market square, that's where initially those who came early stay.
In years past, before the advent of pipe-borne water, Ashawe Stream in Oka Akoko served as a source of drinking water to the people of Agba quarters. It is believed that the water was brought to the community by a warrior.
This water is brought from outside. It's not originally here. And then when we got here, people saw that the water is so good and clean for drinking. Then people started to fetch water here for drinking and other things. We have 3 quarters here near this water. We have Akusa, we have
then whatever. And this water doesn't dry. We need throughout the whole year.
Bí bàbá tèmi ṣe pàtàn fún mi, ó ní bí àwọn ti lọ sí ojú ogun ìran àwọn bàbá òun. So nígbà tí bàbá òun wá rí omi, ó wá sọ pé kó tẹ̀lé òun wá sí Ọ̀kà.
olówó á mú sí abọ́ kan wọ́n pè ní alangba abọ́ láíláí ni olówó mú sínú ẹ̀ so olówó gbé wá sílé ìgbà tó wá gbé wá sílé olówó á pe gbogbo àwọn àgbà ó mú àǹfààní kan wá wọ́n á bèrè lọ́wọ́ pé tí àwọn lè wo àǹfààní yẹn ó ní wọ́n lè wo wọ́n wá wò ó wá gbé sínú yàrá ẹ̀ ibi tó ti ń títí awo ìgbà tó gbé síbẹ̀ yẹn ibẹ̀ ni omi yẹn ti láti sí ibi tó dẹ̀ jẹ́ àǹfààní fún gbogbo àgbà.
In Yoruba land, if you go to fetch water, it's either you use a basin or you use a calabash to scoop out the water into water container. But this particular stream we are talking about, Ashawa, you see, is forbidden for you to use any basin, any calabash. You use leaf to channel the water into the water container you brought.
Ojomiri Lake is a natural phenomenon. It is about 15 by 5 feet wide, but said to be very deep.
My own father, he went there to wash clothes with my junior brother of late memory, to go and wash his clothes at this particular Ojomiri Lake. And one way or the other, my father slipped into the lake. The lake is on top of a hill of the mountain there. Slipped into it, and for 3 days, he was nowhere to be found. My father, it was the third day, he emerged from another small lake. And when he came, he told the story that, in fact, there are settlements under, with many people there, with domestic animals there. So he was telling us just what he saw, not as some people said.
It is situated on the hills of Ojomiri that plays host to lots of people during Easter celebrations. It is the belief of the people that the lake is feminine in nature, and it sometimes comes to the aid of the community, especially during wars. The Oka Hills has one of the most beautiful scenery of rocks for visitors and tourists. Also, the placement of the statue of the Virgin Mary by Catholic faithful has turned the area into a religious tourist site. The buildings around the Mary Hill, also called Oke Maria by indigenes, were built over 100 years ago. And when the sun sets, the scenery around the environment is simply a wonder to behold.
So every year, the February, the second week of the year, tourists from other parts of the country, the town is jam-packed for them who come for one salvation or the other. And as much as possible, majority of the buildings there they still preserve them as they were, whereas they are developing some sites for the purpose of tourists who visit the place.
We celebrate two big celebrations in Oka, Oka Day and Oke Maria. We record nothing less than 10,000 people that come for pilgrimage. Each time we're having the celebrations. This has its own economic input and impact on the people. People who buy and sell food, they make money from it. In fact, people bring market. What of transporters? It has a great value, a great input. And that week that we're celebrating Oke Maria, people benefit a lot. Christian, non-Christian, prepare for it because it has different impacts in their life.
Every first Saturday of August for the people of Okakoko in Ondo State is a special one because it marks the official start of the new yam consumption.
Oka is witnessing a lot of changes in the arrangement and the Oka Day festival celebration. Now, at the initial stages, it was just more of a yam festival, but this time around, We are bringing in almost all the children of Oka in diaspora, a good number of them with a lot of experience, and they too are bringing innovation into the procedure. I mean, with the process we embark upon.
The week-long event starts with prayers by the Christian and Muslim faithful, which takes place at the palace of Olubaka of Oka Akoko.
We are celebrating Oka Day in returning all honor and adoration to Almighty God for what He has done in the past and for what He's doing now and will continue to do. That is why we know that we should celebrate this Oka Day festival this year.
There are some culture that not affect religion at all. So because religion permits some culture that is not attached with shirk. What I mean by shirk is giving partner to Almighty God.
The traditional religion believers are not left out, as a day is set aside for their own celebration. They pray for peace and development of the ancient town. The new Yam commemoration comes with various activities, such as quiz competition for students, football competition, teaching and learning for farmers, and cultural dance competition. The Ode cult and the Atilogu dancers are also part of the competition.
Traditionally, our people will embrace non-indigenous who have come for a lawful business. In fact, they came, majority of them, either from the eastern part of the country, from Oyo, Osun. They came as traders and opened up commerce and this thing. Because they opened up the commercial activities of this community. Gradually, they settled down here.
It is the last market day to the Yam Festival in Oka Akoko, and the people are out in large numbers to buy items needed for the Oka Day Yam Festival. The roads are congested because of the influx of people into Oka Township. The hairstylists are not left behind, as they are in high demand by women of both young and old who engage their services, all in preparation for the D-Day, the Oka Day Yam Festival. The much-awaited day has come. Oka Akoko is coming alive. The excitement is building up. The sons and daughters of the town, home and abroad, are gradually converging on the palace of Oba Olubaka of Oka Kingdom. It is an important day to the indigene, residents, and even people around Oka Akoko community, as the festival is well attended by people from all walks of life, including captains of industries, political bigwigs, and royal fathers. Even children are not left out in the pomp and celebration of the festival.
The best bet of development is peace. With Okade, it's actually bringing a signaling peace, bringing peace, community interaction, quarter interaction. And Okade made us to witness the most boosted economy. People who are selling, they'll be able to sell. The people that are buying, they'll be able to buy what they think they will need to go to Ikaro or Lagos to buy, because many of those things we brought. Many of our children who has not been coming home, they see the importance of the people coming to be in unity to celebrate a common things that will make them to be in the atlas of the world.
Oka people are very, very agreeable people who love this town very well. And they will not spare anything to promote the development of Okaland. So you can see the crowd here. Nobody was compelled to come, but they are here on their own to rejoice with Kabiyesi, and that is our character.
The people of my town, Oka, are predominantly farmers, and we cherish that particular crop, yam. You know, so today marks the day the Kabiyesi and some of the chiefs will eat the yam for the first time.
It is indeed a roll call of who is who in the society. Everyone dressed in their best traditional outfit. The colorful nature of the event is breathtaking as the Roluagba, among many other groups, are on ground to thrill the audience with their dance steps.
My friend told me about Okade, and I was kind of interested to know what's happening, how it is being done. So I came along with him to see what's happening here.
It's been awesome. It's been wonderful. Okade has always been gorgeous, you know.
I've been longing for this to come to Oka Festival because I've been hearing about it for a very long time. So I experienced it today and it's very great. I feel excited.
It's a festival of unity, a festival of remembrance, a festival of discovery. Even when you bring your children, maybe the ones that are not married yet, you bring them to Okakoko Festival, they might even find their spouses there, because it happened to Olori Adejumoke. I went for a yam festival in my town when my king, the Olukwe of Ikpe, was having the yam festival day. That was how I met Kabiyesi. So it's a festival that I don't like to miss.
Some of the guests share their thoughts about the importance of the level of cultural sophistication of the Okade Yam Festival to the people.
Culture needs to be displayed from time to time so that people will now know the importance of culture. So that requires that all the states need that. All the towns and community needs that to display their culture.
Majority of Oka people live in our farms. So they find time to come for this Okade once in a year. So everybody, every sons and daughter gather together to marry, to do, and also display their cultural heritage. So for me, it's a great day for Oka people because it gives them opportunity of mingling together, of knowing each other, and at least celebrating what they believe are their own, what I call very important areas like farming.
Highlights of the event is the official presentation of tubers of yam to the Olubaka of Oka Kingdom by the Odegbere quarters, who in turn distributes the yams to his chiefs and keep one for himself, according to the tradition of the land. The gathering is not only for celebration, but also for stock taking and setting of agenda for the development of the community.
Myself as a high chief, I can call my people here to discuss issues here and before getting to Okade. And if Kabir says something anything to say, to tell them, he can tell us in the palace, we tell them at home, and then they go to Okade to crown it.
Okade is actually making us to believe that we can come to talk in one voice. This is what we want. There wouldn't have been any forum for people to do that, if not for Okade.
The Okarufe Leadership Association identified 30 students who were selected from all the 15 quarters of the town, with each beneficiary receiving 50,000 naira scholarship.
When people are educated, they will start thinking about primordial tendencies. They start looking at contemporary things of ways of improving the society, and that's why we use education. And we decided to pick two undergraduates from each of the 15 quarters, and they're from low-income families.
I have gone out to different parts of this country, and the experience I have actually helps me to bring about improvement in the Okade preparation, and to showcase quite a lot of our own experience in getting people to really know that things have to change from what it was before.
It is said that the river which forgets its source would sooner or later run dry. The people have decided to hold on to their source with this yearly participation in Okade Yam Festival. It is a festival worth celebrating, and it is celebrated by all.
This is Mambila Plateau, a place in Nigeria endowed with enormous natural resources. The topography, the undulating plains, and exciting rock formations. Waterfalls and waterways are second to none. Said to be the highest point in Nigeria, Mambila Plateau is the home of the largest hydroelectricity project in West Africa. Mambila Plateau, a virgin beauty waiting to be exploited for tourism.
Welcome to Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
NTAi Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative and interactive on national issues accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
Hello and welcome. It's time for another interesting package of
Everything Music.
Angelina, you dey cool in my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver.
This is Talking Movies.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder.
No. Stop it! Welcoming you to your weekend. Good morning and welcome to the news desk at 10 on NTAi News 24. I am Norlene Ebel Ame. Headlines. As International Women's Day is marked globally, women in leadership in a COVID-19 era dominates national discourse. No fire incident inside the presidential villa, presidency clarifies. Nigerians enjoined to build and not destroy their national heritage.
Rather than turning on each other, we should be banding together against our common enemies, the criminal elements whose true tribe is terror.
Scores of people die and about 600 others sustained injuries as Equatorial Guinea's military base is hit by an explosion. We begin the news with stories on Women's International Day. The euphoria of March 8th of every year, a day set aside to celebrate women in the air, is in the air. This year's celebration provides an ample opportunity to reflect on how President Muhammadu Buhari honors the women folk. Here is a checklist of the women in the present administration as outlined in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina.
The global celebration of International Women's Day highlights the economic, social, and political advances made by women and girls all over the world, recognizing the critical role of women in governance structures, security, and peace-building efforts, as well as in all aspects of life. President Muhammadu Buhari, since inception, has given priority to